Hi, I'm Tracie Brown with the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Francisco and also a member of Litigation Section Executive Committee. We're here today to talk about subpoenas to the media and the question of whether there should be a federal reporter's privilege, which is a terrific program that will be held on Wednesday, January 30th, 2008 from noon to 1:30 at the Bar Association of San Francisco's offices at 301 Battery Street. The panelists who will be discussing the many interesting issues surrounding this topic are Mark Fainaru-Wada, a reporter with ESPN and formerly the San Francisco Chronicle, Barbara Valliere, who's the chief of the appellate section of the U.S. Attorney's Office, who's handled a lot of the issues relating to BALCO and other types of cases, and will probably speak to the importance of being able to subpoena the media in connection with criminal investigations. Daniel Blank, who is an assistant federal public defender here in San Francisco, who has himself subpoenaed the media in connection with criminal defense cases, and Thomas Burke, who's a partner at Davis Wright & Tremaine, who has represented various media outlets throughout the course of his career. In addition to those panelists, the moderator will be the Honorable Marilyn Hall Patel, who is formerly the Chief Judge of the Northern District of California. Here today we have Mark Fainaru-Wada, who is probably best known as co-author of Game of Shadows, the well-known book about steroids in sports, the BALCO case, and Barry Bonds. Mark, a lot of the information that you and Lance Williams did for the San Francisco Chronicle and for Game of Shadows came from grand jury transcripts from the BALCO investigation, which are generally supposed to be kept secret, but which were leaked to you. Can you tell us what your perspective was as the government began investigating the leak of those transcripts and whether you were prepared to go to jail if you were forced to give up your source?
Well, I'll answer the second part of the question first because that's the easier part. Yes, we were prepared to go to jail, and I don't say that lightly at all. It's a scary prospect, and sort of what we went through in battling the government and refusing to give up our sources was not a pleasant experience and not one I recommend to anyone. Our perspective was that we were clearly, we obviously respect the system, and we felt like we were doing our jobs, doing a service, providing the public with information that was being shielded from it, which is sort of what the media's role is to be able to sort of reveal the truth and provide that kind of information. And so as we went through this process, we were steadfast in believing that it was important to be able to keep the promises that we'd kept and be able to continue to provide the public with the kind of information that they need to know about.
Now, isn't this, though, just an issue between criminal litigators and media outlets? I mean, why should other members of the public care about this?
Well, I think a lot of people ask that question, and I understand it, and I know that when we talk about the importance of the First Amendment, people's eyes often sort of roll back in their head, and they go, look, this is a totally self-serving issue. The reality of the issue in the federal shield law is all about the public. There's bipartisan support for a federal shield law, and when you hear some of the politicians talk about it, it's not because they love the media, because they don't. One of the staunchest supporters of it is a Republican from Indiana named Mike Pence, who says, look, this isn't about you guys. This is about my belief that what a federal reporter shield law would do is protect the public. The First Amendment in its most beautiful way is to be able to provide information to the public unfettered from its government or anybody else. And if you start to have to go down this road where reporters have to worry about going to jail for doing their jobs, whistleblowers have to worry about being exposed for providing information that's being shielded from the public's the one that's going to suffer from this. You're going to end up with stories that don't get told and wrongs that don't get righted.
Having been a reporter for a number of years, can you speak to whether the issue of a federal reporter shield law or subpoenaing the news media has changed at all over the last 10 years or so?
Well, we certainly got a huge education on this in going through what we did with BALCO, and if you listen to Hearst, which represented us, and our chief counsel is a woman named Eve Burton, a phenomenal lawyer, and they have gone through a massive change in the way the government has approached them to come after reporters' sources, not just our case, but in other cases as well, and the dynamic has changed. For 30 years, there seemed to be a construct in which there was a tacit agreement between the government and the media and an understanding of the media's role. That seemed to get thrown out the window with the Gonzales administration, and you saw the government being much more forceful about coming after reporters. And the result, as I said, is it's not about reporters having to worry about going to jail, though Lord knows I didn't want to go to jail. It's about the public not ending up getting stories, and this is what's going to happen. If you don't end up having reporters with the opportunity to be able to do their jobs this way, you're going to end up with stories that don't get told.
Thank you so much for your time today, Mark. Again, you'll hear a lot more from Mark Fainaru-Wada and the other panelists at the presentation on subpoenaing the media and the question of whether there should be a federal reporter's privilege at the presentation at the Bar Association of San Francisco next Wednesday, January 30th, 2008, from noon to 1:30, and that's again at the Bar Association's offices at 301 Battery Street in San Francisco. To register, please go to sfbar.org. Hope to see you there. Thanks.